Welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. John Kelly here with you, along with Jeremiah Jerome Stringer, and we are proud to say we are brought to you by Outdoor Vitals, makers of Performance First Ultralight gear. And today we want to talk a little bit about the Live Ultralight membership. Jeremiah, I know personally I'm a huge Live Ultralight membership person. I've had a membership for several years now. I've bought a lot of gear because of it, and I want to let people see what this is about. Would that bother you too much?
No, basically like a little savings account for your gear budget.
Yeah, it's an awesome setup. Let me show you guys what we're talking about here. This is what it looks like. No, this is what it looks like. There we go. Are we on there? What are we showing there, Jeremiah? This is the wrong screen. That's our show.
That looks like a few notes that I took for the show.
I don't know why that's showing, but look what's showing now. It's the Live Ultralight membership. This is what we want you guys to see. A free savings account for gear that gives you year-round discounts. And there's no cost to join. It's $10 a month that you're putting into a membership that basically the way it works is that there's no upfront costs. It's just $10 a month. And you can actually tier that. If you want to put more in, you can. It's a monthly credit. It automatically comes out, and that money is saved. And here's the thing. They don't take your money. They don't charge you a percentage, nothing. They not only give you that $10 that you spent, but they also give you 10% off on everything you buy, including store credits for purchase referrals. You get a $20 credit every time a friend makes a purchase using your link, and a free sun shirt. I mean, honestly, Jeremiah, it's kind of hard to fail on this. It's just a great idea. It's a great program. And I personally would suggest that anybody joins it.
Amen. If y'all want to check it out, we will link it in the description. Check out outdoorvitals.com. And thank you for sponsoring the show.
Yeah, hey, Jeremiah, I got something really fun that I got to do this past weekend.
Yeah, what happened?
So I think I've talked about this on here before. My son is part of a program called Trail Life. It's similar to Boy Scouts. We do it through our church. And this past weekend, we did a big camp out. We called it the Camporee. And it was just fun. I don't get to go camping with my son as much as I would really like to yet. He's still only 7 years old, so we're a little limited on what he's capable of doing, but we've been able to do quite a bit so far. And this was part of the trip this weekend. I don't know if you see at the very front of that picture, there's a little guy in green camo beating up a very small child. The very small child is mine. That's Jack. That's why I say he's a little guy. He's wearing his muck boots and he's got his pants pulled up above his knees. And from what I heard, he tore it up with those guys. They said it didn't matter how hard somebody hit him. He never got upset and he kept fighting, which I think is really awesome. And here's a shot of he and I going in and doing our tent when we got there that morning. So it was just a great time, man. It's just a great time hanging out with my son for the weekend. He had a blast. I had a blast. All the other kids that were with us had a blast. Good times all around is all I can say. And all I can say is if you're a dad, you need to be spending time with your kids in the outdoors. And I know Devin's on here right now. I saw something from him earlier. He said howdy. He's not from Texas, but he said howdy. Also, we're playing with the text at the bottom. We've been having some weird things going on, so we just decided we're going to play with it this while we're here today and see if we can't figure out what's going on with it. But Devin will tell you need to hang out with your kids in the backcountry. It's one of the best things that you can do. There's some more comments on here. You want to see those real quick, Jeremiah, before we get going?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see comments. I see Jamie down there at the bottom sending a request for Jason Wish to appear soon on the show. I'm down.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Does he do anything? Does he backpack?
I see he backpacks, he kayaks. He might start rock climbing before we know it.
I'm waiting to hear of him trying to do like an ultra marathon.
Oh,
I'm waiting to see that. So
that would be him. Maybe he'll wear Crocs.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and a skirt. John Groover says, "Good afternoon, John and Jeremiah. What's going on, Mr. Groover?" David Cooper's on here, says his day is much better now, and ours is also thanks to your comment. The outdoor girl and hiking or outdoor dog and hiking girl. Good evening. Almost time for bed here across the pond, but this is a great excuse to stay up a bit longer. Well, thank you. We're glad to have you on. Dirt went off the rails. What up, chatting boys? Stone Ape Adventure. Hey, Yins. You know guys from the Pittsburgh area when he says Yins. Let's see. Loafer X is on here. Huck Outdoors. What's up, buddy? What's up, Huck? And then, of course, our good friend, Mr. Woodall Trails. And he asked if I got a turkey yet. And unfortunately, I have been hunting once, and it was with my son. And I knew that we were not getting turkeys with my son out there because he just wanted to blow the crow call the whole time. But we had a blast. It was great. So
let me ask you a little hunting question here.
Okay.
So I'm not a huge hunter. I mean, growing up, I hunted some squirrels, and I've been deer hunting and turkey hunting, but it's not one of my big passions. Is it true that for deer versus turkey, this is what somebody told me, deer has the word ear in it. So deer are really good at hearing, and that is like not as much eyesight, but super good hearing, and they remember it because it has the word ear in there, versus turkey, it ends in EY. So EYE is eye, and they can see super good. So maybe not hear as well, maybe not smell as well, but those are the things to avoid when hunting.
Yeah.
Would you confirm that?
Yeah,
Or
I'll confirm that. I'll confirm that. Deer can see, can hear. Their hearing is amazing, and their sense of smell is the real big thing. That's why a lot of guys hunt in tree stands to kind of get above the deer and hope that they don't pick up their scent. Then also when you're shooting down, you got less of a chance of causing damage out away from you. Turkeys, on the other hand, can see everything. The other day, a buddy of mine just went out, and he said he was sitting against a tree, and he heard the turkey behind him, and he was able to turn a little bit and got his eyes to where he could just see him out the corner of his eyes, and all he did was take his gun and do this. I'm talking like an inch and a half. Turkey took off. Saw him immediately and just was gone. And
well,
it's crazy.
I always know when it's hunting season because my neighbor, their back deck, he covers his porch in camouflage clothing, just lets it air out for, I don't know, a day, 2 days, a week.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, Steve Wright said I can come to his yard and get a turkey. Shoot, man. In Kentucky, I've only got till Sunday to do it. And it's Derby weekend.
Yeah, everybody's going to be watching the horse racing. You're going to be out there killing a turkey.
Yeah, I hope so. Man, I'm so... Yeah, I was at a conference for the past 3 days and wasn't able to go hunting this week either. And the biggest issue I had was I'm there, and I guess it was Monday morning. I pull up the trail camera, and there's like 8 toms right there, right in front of where I hunt.
Now, tom is a boy turkey.
Yeah, those are the gobblers. Those are the big boys.
Okay.
Yeah, they're big, and they're delicious. So, yeah.
Outdoor Adventures with Shane says deer have excellent sight as well, and they see every move, even up a tree stand. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And then Stone Ape Adventures, he has 50-plus birds in his yard every day.
Oh. Regular birds or only turkeys? I would assume turkeys.
I don't know. So let's talk a little bit about some stuff today, Jeremiah. There's a weird question you wanted to ask me that's on this list.
Yes.
And I think we need to talk about it because I don't know what it has to do with backpacking, but I mean, it's a fun conversation piece.
Well, I'll be honest with you, man. Our podcast, it's fun to do, and I love listening to other podcasts as well. And Bridget and I, let me just set this up a little bit, okay?
Give it to me.
Bridget and I, for my birthday, are going to go up to Dayton, Ohio, and watch Tom Segura. And that, for those that don't know, that is a comedian. He kind of runs in the circle with Tony Hinchcliffe and Joe Rogan and Bert Kreischer. And that's kind of the crew, Shane Gillis. So some of those may be household names to you. So Tom Segura runs with those, and he has his own podcast with his wife called Your Mom's House. And it's more of like
That's the name of the podcast.
That's the name of the podcast, Your Mom's House.
All right.
So I'm a huge fan of Your Mom's House podcast. And when I say huge, I mean like I watch every episode, and they have done 10 live streams, and their live streams are like an hour and a half to 2 hours long. And it's all like Easter egg stuff from the show. Maybe they're doing skits, maybe they're having guests that they wouldn't normally have, and they have a heavy segment, which is stuff that is not allowed to be shown on YouTube because it'll get you banned. So you think about like the secret videos you would see while you're in college on the old VHS tapes. So it'd be that kind of stuff. Could be bloody, could be gory, could be all stuff that we don't really talk about on this show. And it's one segment. So it is
Right.
pay to see it. So I have paid to see all the live streams as well, and now I'm going to see him live this fall, come my birthday.
Oh man.
Well, yeah, we already bought the tickets. We're like 5 rows back, right in the middle. It's the most I'm pretty sure it's the most expensive ticket I've ever bought for anything in my entire life. But I'm a super fan. Okay,
Fair
so
enough.
one thing that people like sometimes is they'll listen to a podcast and it'll have like cross promotional. Basically, somebody has their own podcast, but they go on somebody else's, and maybe that person goes back on the other in exchange. So he was on this podcast called "Are You Garbage?" and the basic premise of the show.
So wait. Okay, so the guy who has a podcast called Your Mom's House
Yeah,
is on a podcast called what?
"Are You Garbage?"
Are You Garbage?
Yes.
I
So
think if you're hanging out at my mom's house, I might think you're garbage. I don't know. We'll see. Let's keep this going.
it's got 2 comedians that host it. I'm a huge fan of comedy, by the way, if you haven't already figured that
Oh
out.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So, it has 2 comedians that run that show, and the basic premise of the show is they talk to guests and basically see, do they come from a classy background where maybe you sit around the dinner table and there's proper etiquette and blah blah blah, or do you come from a place of just like I guess here we call it like trailer trash or something like that. You know, your idea of a meal is beef jerky with little Debbie cakes or something. So it's looking at which background you come from. So
Okay.
anyway, get to the point. He's on the show and they're running through the show. And one of the questions that they talk to him about, and then I would like to talk to you about today to steal some of their content, is it okay, first of all, to, if you go to somebody's house, use their restroom to poop? And by the way, I've been to your house multiple times, pooped there multiple times.
I've never
Their
had a problem
question,
with it.
usually not a problem, right?
I've
So
never had a problem with it.
let's take it to the next level. And here's where I want to
Take
hear
it to the
people's
next
thoughts.
level.
Yeah, we're going to take it to the next level. So I want you all to let me know in the comments your opinion on this. Whether you're on Spotify, we got comments on there, or on YouTube.
Okay.
Let us know. Or if you're watching live now, of course, we'd love in real time to share some of your thoughts on this.
So
Let's
you're
say
bringing the
that
poop talk in from the top. You're not even waiting for the
right,
end of this episode.
we're
Okay.
starting the show with poop today.
Okay.
All right. So here's the question. Let's say that you and your wife are going over to maybe one of her friends' house for a little get together.
Okay.
Right? And they have a bathroom and you're needing to poop, but the bathroom, everybody's in the kitchen and the bathroom is right next to the kitchen. And you had to poop real bad. I mean, it's like one of those where, if it's real bad, you flush at the same time that there's an explosive event. You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about?
If you know it's
Yeah,
going to be a loud one.
yeah.
Oh
You
yeah,
can
yeah,
kind of time it up a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Well, first of all, their question was, do you use that bathroom? And if not, would you go to the master bathroom? Is that a step too far to just, you're over at, in your situation, you and your wife, and it's one of her friends, you're kind of disconnected. That's just a get together.
Here's the question. How close is your wife to this person?
Uh-huh.
How close is she?
Let's say it's just a casual friend. It's
Okay.
it's not like best friends, not BFFs, not a high school buddy. This is somebody that they know, and there's a bunch of people that you know or you don't know at the get together. It's just a kind of an event at the house, but you're not really connected. You're just kind of an outsider.
Oh, hey, Justin Outdoors is on here right now. We got a bunch of comments coming in right now. We're gonna read those in a second.
Yeah.
If you left a comment about this, your comment's getting up. I promise. Let's see. If it's me
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know any of these people, I'm probably not gonna see them again.
Yeah.
I'm going right there. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. I don't care.
All right.
It really doesn't matter to me. And if it's somebody I'm close, the reason I asked if it was close, if it's somebody I'm close to and there's a group in the kitchen, I may go up to them and say, hey, in private, like pull them to the side, say, hey, I need to ask you about something real quick. And I would say, I'm about to do something that you probably don't want me to do with everybody here in the kitchen. Do
Yeah.
you have another bathroom I can use? because if they're close to you, you can do that. You can't do that with random people. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I will definitely do that with somebody to prevent them from. There's nothing more embarrassing for them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but if I don't care, if I don't know who these people are, I don't really care. I'm weird like that though. I'm not concerned. My I don't give a crap is pretty high. So,
When when is it okay, if ever, for you to breach the master door to go in to use their bathroom? Let's say that they were close to you and you didn't have the
well, I'll tell you what.
opportunity.
Let's do this. Let's read through our favorite our comments so far,
Okay.
just so we can see what people are saying, and then we'll go to that. The first one is: if I can't poop in your house, why did you have me over, and why do you have a toilet? Right? I think it's I think it's a fair answer. Nick rambles: poop in any bathroom. I just don't want to hear it.
Yeah, then you better time up the flush with
That's
the
right.
explosive vents.
That's right. Derwin off the rails. I think well, I don't know why this is so massive, but only in an emergency. Justin Outdoor says I poop every day at 8 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. and don't leave the house ever at those times. That's
Really?
impressive. If that's for real,
And a twice a day, is that regular?
sounds pretty regular. It's twice a day and there's 2.5 hours between them. So, I mean, that's awesome if you can time it like that. So, but I've always been impressed by Justin. Now maybe I'm just impressed even more. David Cooper says, use the master. Give some separation from the others.
Courtesy.
Yeah, courtesy's good, I guess. Wood All Trails. As long as you ask first, I don't care which one you use. Just keep the noise down.
Yeah.
And Sean R., when you gotta go, you gotta go. Just simple. When you gotta go, you gotta go. So those are some great answers for that. Great answers for that. Man, there's more coming in too, Jeremiah.
Yeah, keep them
More
coming.
in. Huck, if I gotta go, I gotta go. Plan the blast with the flush.
Yeah, strategic.
Make sure they got some spray.
Yeah. Hey, let's pause for just a second. Let me say something about this spray, dude.
Okay.
And then we'll go back to the comments.
I think it depends on the spray too.
Oh, there's a specialty one. I had no idea. So we have a staff bathroom at work. I work at a public school. We got like 12 to 1,500 kids, depending on the year, and like 70-ish teachers. Now, there's multiple staff bathrooms, but some of them are used very, very often. And some people, you don't want to go in there after them.
No.
I'll just say it like that. So I don't know who did it, but somebody left some of that poo-pourri spray in there. And I said, poo-pourri spray? I'm not going to use this. And then I kept doing my business, go in, different day, do my business. And it just kept sitting in there. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to give it a try. So I got the poo-pourri spray. And my first thought was, how many people have touched this poo-pourri spray? Because its exclusive use is pooping. So I read the directions.
Yeah, so you're definitely washing your hands after spraying it.
Yes, and I kind of felt like washing. Yeah, I kind of felt like washing my hands before, during, and after. Honestly, but
during,
yeah, I couldn't reach.
So you're washing the bottle in the sink.
So, I read the directions and it said use 3 to 5 sprays before you go. So you spray it. I guess it creates a layer on top of the water, and then apparently that layer, depending on the density of your poop, what you've been eating, apparently is determining whether it floats or sinks.
Did I just hear you right? You spray it on the water?
You spray it in the toilet bowl on the water 3 to 5 times. That's just what
I cleaned my ear out just for a second because I wasn't sure I actually heard that from you. So okay.
So 3 to 5 spritzes in the water, and then you cap it, put it down, do your business. And I said, wow, after I got done, surprisingly, and you do go a little bit nose blind, to stinky smells. So if you're in there for a minute, maybe it's not as great as I thought.
Yeah, maybe not.
But I said, this is surprising. Actually,
it's a pre-spray.
It's a pre-spray, but I guess it holds a layer on top of the water that keeps in the stank until you flush, and then it sucks it down the drain pipe. And I was honestly, dude, I was disappointed when that staff bathroom ran out of poopery. I kind of thought about ordering some more and just leaving it in there for the common good. Yeah, I would suggest people buying it. It's got my endorsement, and we talk a lot about poop, so everybody does it, and we got lots of experience talking about it. So I don't consider myself an expert, but I do endorse the product. Poo-pourri. Maybe even comes in different flavors. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. We got a few comments in here that are going along with what we're talking about. Outdoor Adventures with Shane says, turn on the fart fan in the bathroom and fire away. If I gotta go, I'm going. Not going to get a stomach ache or risk crapping my pants. That's a fair assessment. None of my friends have master bathrooms. Oh, that's fantastic. We got Loafer X who said, so litter box is out of the question?
It's out of the question.
Out of the question. Not doing a litter
Hot
box.
dog guy.
And then Unlikely Hiker Melissa's on here, and she said, I say it's not off limits in an emergency. And I would tend to agree with her on that. If it's an emergency, listen, I'm not stopping you. Go do your business.
Even breaching the door.
Yes. Even
Close
breaching the door. Man, we got comments coming out the wazoo right now. Let me hang on. And Stone Ape Adventures, I've been using it wrong all these years.
Oh, I don't know any other way.
The poopery?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe that's every spray you're supposed to do it that way.
Well, not the Febreze though. That's like a cover up type.
Well,
deal.
Febreze is supposed to actually be like a dissolver of smell, isn't it?
Yeah, but mom is always like, you got to burn a match and then you blow it out and let the smoke, waft around the bathroom. Not the let me spray some Glade and cover up the poop smell. So I'm not buying the Febreze. So no offense, Nick.
Yeah. Here's one. It says, to prevent an extra smelly situation, flush immediately after each plop. Not the most environmentally friendly use of water, but everyone will thank you. True. Alicia, I believe this is Alicia's first comment on here, isn't it? I don't think I know Alicia.
I'm not sure. And
Alicia, actually, was that your first comment? Because if that's your first comment, let us know.
Actually, it may not be a great use of resources because I think, like she said, it's probably like 1.3 gallons per flush for your toilet. So that is a lot of water. But, we were visiting a buddy and I said, do you have a bottle warmer? We both have kids. And he said, no, we just run hot water over the bottle in the sink. And I was like, for how long? He's like, till it's warm, like maybe 10 minutes. I was like, so you mean every single bottle that you've made at your house with this baby? His baby's a few months younger than mine. Yeah. Y'all just run the hot water, just let it go? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, how much did that increase your water bill? He's like, I don't know, like $2 or $3 a month. I was like, well, so maybe it wouldn't cost that much, but still probably not the best environmentally friendly.
Yeah, I mean, first world problems.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
First world problems. So that's what okay. So David Cooper, I like this one. He says, "Can you go out in the backyard and dig a cat hole?"
You could. My dogs are already pooping out there. There's a lot of landmines.
Of course, I don't know how many people want you digging a hole in their yard so that you can poop in it in their backyard.
Yeah,
like I don't know that that's like. I don't know if that's socially acceptable. Like, and then Devin just said, "Isn't every poop an emergency? That thing wants out." You're not wrong. True. You're not wrong.
That's true
at all.
Oh,
so, man, you hit a hot topic today, man. Oh, and it is Alicia's first comment. Well, welcome. Welcome to the chat, Alicia. We're glad to have you in. You picked a good topic to talk about. Long-time listener. Well, thank you for listening for so long. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about first.
Yeah, so I think we nailed that one, bro. That's a good entertaining topic. We're in the entertainment industry, not the backpacking industry, so hopefully you're quite entertained. I got one other thing I wanted to talk to you off topic. This one's super quick,
okay?
Because I think that later in the show we're definitely getting to some backpacking content as well. But
oh yeah,
I have to say this real quick. Please don't click away. I promise it'll be quick, dude. Sanders got prank called for your Cleveland Browns.
Yes,
congratulations, by the way. For those that don't know, John is a massive Cleveland Browns fan.
Many consider them to have the best or the second best draft this year, which that never happens. We are notoriously the worst drafters on the planet. And the great thing about that Shedeur Sanders pick is, for those who don't know football, we'll be done soon. But that Shedeur Sanders pick, he was originally, they thought he'd be the number 2 pick in the draft in the first round. We got him in the 5th round. So, I mean, I can't complain about that. I can't complain.
144th pick, but just FYI for everybody that doesn't know, because I know not everybody's an NFL person. This guy, Deion Sanders' son, didn't get drafted and then got prank called before he was picked 144th by
Yeah.
the Falcons assistant coach's son in his college t-shirt. They recorded the whole thing. Sanders was on live stream. So you got to see both sides of the situation. Sanders getting prank called and the prank callers. And then turns out I got an email today at work and I said, what is this? I clicked on it. Bro, the Falcons, do you know how much they got fined?
200 grand, and the coach got fined 100 grand. His idiot son found his iPad sitting down and took a picture of Shedeur Sanders' phone number and went and did that. So a stupid prank cost his dad 6 figures. And
Yes,
potentially, we don't know for a fact he's going to keep his job either.
what do you do if you're the dad? You
Here,
got this son.
here we go. Here's the official. Like Outdoor Adventures with Shane just put up here. The Atlanta Falcons got fined $250,000, and the DC whose kid did it got fined $100,000.
So
dude,
what
my kid just lost all his college money. Like, you're on your own, buddy. You're out of my will. You're you took your inheritance and just crapped it down the toilet. Way to go, buddy.
$100K, bro. Just
Good
fun.
night.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That's insane. So I just wanted to get your take on that real quick because I know you're a big Browns fan. Didn't want to, bore everybody.
But here's the thing: a lot of people don't know. That is very normal.
Oh, at the fines and
the prank calls, they happen every draft. Several players will get like 5 or 6 calls from people thinking they're funny and not realizing like it's heartbreaking for these guys if they don't get drafted after those phone calls. So that's not a different, like, that's not some new thing. That's been going on for a long time. It's just that Sanders was such a high profile pick that it caught a little more attention. David Cooper said, if my kid cost me $100K, they never get another dime from me.
Well, that's your whole college tuition right there, man. $100K.
Well, maybe for a year.
Well, not mine was like $20K a year. Everything.
How long ago did you graduate from college?
10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you seen college costs now?
No, let's not talk about that, bro.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. That's just that dangerous topic altogether.
Yeah, 18 years until then.
Ooh, buddy. At least I don't have as long as you. It's gonna be more expensive when you do it. I'm gonna tell my kid to be a plumber. They make more money. Let's talk. There's something I want to talk about today that is backpacking related, and I think this will be a fun one for comments and everything as well. But I found this article on Backpacker Magazine, which I thought was fascinating, and the title of this article is the 8 biggest hiking controversies backpackers covered in 2024. So I'm interested in talking about these a little bit because they're kind of fun. Some of them I didn't even know about. I found out by reading the article, but I think this should be fun. What do you think?
Yeah, I say, do you want to go in any certain order? Do you want to pick 1 through 8?
I'll tell you what, I'll read it. I'll read the little paragraph below it, and we'll just talk about it. Does that sound good?
Which one you want to start with?
I'm going to start right off with number 1 on this list, and it is a hiker attempted the Triple Crown with less than 3 pounds of gear. Impressive or dangerous? And it says Sam Shade Carter was a young thru hiker who attempted a calendar year Triple Crown in 2023 with next to no gear. After suffering an injury to his big toe, Carter decided to cut his kit down to the absolute minimum, hiking with just a $19 Amazon day pack and an emergency bivvy for shelter. Shade didn't finish the Triple Crown, but he had managed to complete the Appalachian Trail and sizable chunks of both the Continental Divide and Pacific Crest Trails with his minimalist kit. It says the story about Shane's adventure asks, was it reckless, as so many Instagram commenters weighed in after a video of him on the PCT surfaced on the platform, or is there something that we could learn from his commitment? What's your thoughts? and everybody comment. Let's hear your thoughts as well.
I don't know, man. The first thing that comes to mind is it's the self-grandizing a lot of times by people criticizing others. They're like, oh, I would do it this way instead of that way. Oh, you're putting search and rescue at risk by going out under these conditions, blah, blah. And all that stuff's true.
Right.
But nothing in life goes without its risks.
Mhm.
Everything, even me sitting in this house right now, the ceiling could fall on me and kill me, or me driving to work. I could be in a car accident and die. So it is true that it is irresponsible, probably, to not have the proper amount of gear. But you're going to be a total spectrum on this of people, because some people say it's super irresponsible to not have a totally decked out first aid kit with everything from, like, I need something to coagulate blood. I need, you know, not just band-aids, because,
Yeah.
like, some people, they're going ultralight and they have it pared down to, like, I got some band-aids and Leuko tape, and that's what's in my first aid kit. Where other people's like, I seen videos of people making it to Neil's Gap and doing a hiker shakedown. And there was, like, I saw this video of this one nurse, and she had, like, UV or not UV, IV bags, needles, all kinds of different medications,
Right.
gauzes.
Well,
And
I
so
I think
it's
the
a
issue with this one though is that he only took 2 items. He
yeah,
took an emergency bivvy and a cheap backpack. I think that's the issue. Like, we're getting comments, by the way.
yeah, like,
Steve Wright, dumb. Kevin Munson, Jupiter he ain't. Hiking with Cam, dangerous. Stone Ape Adventures, moving fast enough it doesn't matter. You're only a couple hours from help. So that's interesting. That's nuts. And oh heck no. So yeah, I mean, we're talking I mean, I would never tell somebody to not take some kind of med kit if you're going to do a long trail like that.
yeah, but it was specifically the PCT part, right?
Well, what about the poop kit? How is he going to the bathroom? How is he washing his hands? How are you following me on this?
Yeah,
Like, I
but
don't care about a lot of the other stuff, but I mean, there's some things. It's gross.
not washing your hands and then shaking hands with other people as you
How
meet them.
how else are you gonna wipe poop off your butt? Are you using leaves? I guess.
Well,
And
if
and
he's
if you are using leaves, are you saying you never get any on your hands? And you've got nothing. You don't even have hand sanitizer. Are you wiping it on your bivvy? Like, are you sleeping in your own poo? Like, what is going on here, man? This is not kosher. This is not good. I'm
well,
just giving my opinion. This is
sure.
and David Cooper always comes back to poop for John. In this case, I think it's a valuable thing to talk about.
Well, I tell
I'm
you,
just saying.
two things come to mind with the poop. He could either be doing, like, you know how, like, your dog poops and then wants to rub his butt on the carpet?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, maybe he's doing that with the sand in the desert. I can imagine that one. That's a pretty rough image. Or maybe this isn't a good one, but hopefully he's not doing the backcountry bidet in a water source, because that's also, that would be irresponsible, but it is possible.
Doesn't even say he had water bottles.
Oh, surely he's drinking water and eating something. It says 3 pounds of gear, right?
Yeah,
So
he said a backpack and an emergency bivvy for shelter.
yeah, I don't
said
think
that's
that I don't think we can have a totally conclusive.
I'm not going to rewrite the article. I'm just telling you what it says, Jeremiah.
All right, all right. Unpacking
Here's most curious what prevented completion of the PCT and CDT. He figured out something out for him to get as far as he did. It's interesting that he hiked on both those trails, but didn't finish either one. You know what I mean? Like, why did he hike a little bit of each one?
I don't know, but we could find out the answer live on the air on the Backpacking Podcast. He could be a
Let's not.
guest. Oh, John already turned it down. First guest I've
Let's
talked
not. Let's not do it.
Nah, we're not doing 3 pounds of gear. I like toilet paper and soap.
Phew.
CT towns are too far apart. Yeah, on the AT, it might be a little more friendly to do that. You're hitting a town quite frequently.
Well, and he's freezing at night.
Yeah, no sleeping bag, no jacket, no nothing.
Here we go. Unlikely hikers back coming to bat for me. No first aid, fine. No poop kit, irresponsible. Irresponsible.
I like it. All right, you ready to
I'm not backing down. Okay, let's go to number 2. This one I didn't know about. This was kind of a new one for me. It says Honolulu will demolish its iconic illegal Stairway to Heaven hike, Climbing high into the mountains above Honolulu, the haiku stairs are beautiful, a favorite Instagram backdrop, and illegal to hike. That hasn't stopped thousands of hikers from trying, and while no one has yet to die on the rickety World War II era steps, the risks and neighbors' complaints worried local officials enough earlier this year that the city announced a multi-million-dollar contract to dismantle and remove them. The decision heated up a long-running fight in the area. On one hand, public officials who see an opportunity to rid themselves of a long-time headache. On the other, preservationists and some local hikers who see the destruction of the Stairway to Heaven as an assault on both history and one of the world's most beautiful trails.
Is that picture at the top of the article the picture of the stairway?
Let me see if I can pull it up here so people can look at it. Because you're right, that's what it is. Yeah. Let me see if I can
Yeah,
get it up here
so
so everybody can see this. Get this
if you're just
REI video off of here.
if pop-up ads. If you're just listening and you're not watching, you can check out the video version on YouTube. But to describe what we're seeing here, it's basically some chick walking up a narrow stairwell in Honolulu up a mountain. It's exactly what you would imagine, the side of a mountain. Very steep, I may add. Now, here's my
I bet
thoughts
the views are beautiful.
You know, I'm an avid outdoorsman, and
Yeah.
there is nothing I would love more for my tax dollars to be spent on than something that I can enjoy outdoors. So, my personal opinion, I do think you're destroying a little bit of history, but even if you revitalized it, you're still taking away, you know, what it would have been in its current state. So either way, you're going to lose a little bit of history. But what's the big deal, man? What you can build stairs up there and handrails. It's literally a couple handrails and some stairs.
That's kind of my opinion on it. I think it's silly, but I mean, I understand, but I can't. Okay, here's. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this, Jeremiah. I don't want to tick people off. I would call myself a libertarian for the most part. I am not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm a big fan of leave me alone.
Mhm.
And if I want to go on a dangerous trail, I want to have the option to do it on my own opinion of my own choosing. I
But
don't
what
like
about
I don't like being told I can't do something because it's unsafe.
Yeah, what about the people that you're going to put in danger, John, if you get out there and hurt and fall and they have to rescue you? That is the devil's advocate to what you're saying. That's like the common argument, which we just talked about on the previous
Well,
number one topic.
I don't care about it. Who am I getting? Now, if it's just me, who am I hurting?
Yeah, look, hiking with Cam says doesn't look that bad. You're not hurting anybody. I'm just saying that
Look at this.
this is my argument.
Leave the stairs. That's right, David Cooper. Leave the stairs.
What the argument is that somebody could get hurt rescuing you when you put yourself in a situation that you didn't have to be in. That's the safety concern aspect, devil's advocate of the argument.
I got 3 words for you. Leave the stairs. Leave the stairs. I'm with David Cooper on that. Now, Loafer X has a different thing. He says, get rid of the stairway. I don't need that kind of temptation, which means he does not want those stairs gone. So,
Well, you could remove the stairs and still leave a path. You know,
yeah.
it'd just be a trail. You could do it that way.
You could.
That'd be an option.
I
All right,
think
to
you
the
can leave.
third one.
All right, here we go. Third one. Someone is leaving tiny sculptures on the Pacific Crest Trail, and hikers are not happy. It says, on the trails, one person's art is often another's trash. It's true about rock stacks, those temporary distractions that hikers love to hate. And when small clay sculptures began to pop up along the PCT this year, many hikers and educators began to cry foul, arguing that any artificial reminder of human presence, no matter how small, detracts from the experience of being in nature. Senior editor Zoe Gates dove deep into this trailside tiff. So what do you think about that?
Well, I don't want people like bringing out sculptures and leaving them along the way, but if it's like a little rock cairn ever so often, I don't think that's the biggest deal. I know a lot of people are saying you're disturbing the environment and stuff, and that is kind of true. We've looked in the Smoky Mountains how they're like there's I can't remember the name of the reptile or amphibian it is, but when you move rocks in that location, those are endangered and you're disturbing their environment. And there's actual pictures of them dead as a result of environmental issues. So if it's just like litter, not so great. But honestly, dude, I done the Camino, and you take a rock from the beginning and take it to the end, but there's like a whole economy of tourism through it, and there's stuff everywhere. There's like picture frames of random families on different parts of the trail. There's all kinds of
Do
painted
do
rocks
you
that
want to
people
see
just
these things?
yeah, I haven't seen them actually. I saw the article. I read through
Okay.
the headlines
Here's
that you sent, but
here's a couple of them on this rock.
okay, it's a little hard for me to see.
Let me see here. We got this little guy down here.
Oh,
They're hard
they
to
are
see.
really small. It's
They're
like the
really
size of
tiny. Oh, it just disappeared. Come back here. Where'd it go? Okay. Let's see if we can bring it back up here. Okay. We're going to be like this today, aren't we? Okay. Let's zoom it up one more time, see if we can get it to stay in place. There we go. Okay, we're not having... I blame
Producer.
Reddit. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Okay, so this is like clay, basically. They're taking clay, they're shaping it, and then they're taking like one of those little pencils or whatever and making indentions to create
I'm not
figurines.
going to lie. They kind of look a little demonic. If you
Yeah,
look at them. I don't
that
know,
is
man.
true.
They're kind of creepy looking. Maybe people are more upset because they're creepy looking than anything else.
You know, honestly, even though it is just clay, I don't think that that's the greatest thing. Taking it out there
Yeah.
and leaving. What's the point, by the way? Are you just trying to bring joy to other people along their trek? Because if you are, maybe a little trail magic instead would be more appropriate.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it personally. Don't leave your crap on the trail.
No, no.
Like,
If you bring it in, take it out.
yeah, here's one right here. Yeah, don't leave stuff. Nick, I think you got that. I think you got the comment of the day, man. Yeah, don't leave stuff. Nobody wants your stuff on the trail.
Dude, I'm excited about the next one. I've lived through it.
Okay,
This has happened.
I
This has
know what
happened.
your answer is going to be. I already know. This one's great. And I think let's before we answer it, Jeremiah, I'm going to read it. We'll talk a little bit, but don't give your opinion quite yet. Just we'll kind of talk about the pluses and minuses of it. I want to see
Okay.
what our listeners think. Here's the question. And get ready to start typing because some of you are really going to want to. Is it ever okay to pitch a tent inside a hiking shelter? From hikers spending a few days on the trail to through hikers on their way to Katahdin, the Appalachian Trails shelters host a variety of travelers, and space there is at a premium. So when one backpacker posted in an AT Facebook group about seeing a tent set up under a shelter's roof, it sparked an intense debate. Zoe Gates asked, what does it mean to be a good neighbor on a long trail? So we'll leave a few seconds. You guys, let's talk pros and cons, Jeremiah. What are the pros for putting a tent inside of a hiking shelter?
Well, the no-brainer is you're out of the weather. So you're
Mhm.
setting up your tent, especially if it's raining, you're setting it up not out in the rain, which is a huge plus because anybody that set up a tent in the rain knows it's literally impossible to not get some water inside. Even if you have like one of those rain flies you set up first and then put the inner in, stuff gets wet and there's
Right.
really no way around it. So that's the main positive.
I would also say this is kind of like flipping the bird to the man a little bit, because I know some people hate the fact that in some parts of the Appalachian Trail you have to sleep in a shelter. And a lot of
Mm,
people don't want to sleep in a shelter because a lot of times you end up sleeping next to people you don't know. They're
sure.
breathing heavy, snoring. There's no privacy, which is another plus of having the tent in there. But I think a lot of it, I wonder if that's not partially somebody who's just frustrated over the fact that they can't sleep in this tent that they bought for this long hike and they have to sleep in
Mhm.
this stupid shelter. I don't know about you, but I've never slept comfortably in a shelter.
Well, I think sometimes you're tired enough, you sleep in there, but I don't know if it's the best. I did it for
Yeah.
30 days and I spent 2 days not in the shelter, I believe. I spent 2 nights in the tent, the rest were in a shelter. But I'll give you the
Yeah.
main negative is space, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Right.
taking up
Right.
your tent is going to take up more space than people in a row stuffed in there.
Right. Right. Well, we're getting quite a few comments. We'll go ahead and read a few of these as we go here. Huck Outdoors was the first one, and he says, what's a hiking shelter? We don't have those on the West Coast. Fair enough.
Yep. Yeah.
Steve Wright says, no tents in shelters. Kevin Munson says, no tents or hammocks in the shelter. Drooper, he says, some privacy. Uh,
Ah.
Unlikely hiker. Never. David Cooper. No tents in shelters. You already have weather protection. And Alex and Joker says, I would say no one. Both counts. But what about a hammock?
That's a good question. I think maybe we have a couple stories here. Should I
Oh,
go first?
I know I have a story. I'll let you go first.
Okay. One time I was on the long trail. That's right. I hiked it, and
Wait, you hiked the long trail?
I sure did. And on this particular day, we were making it to, I think it was called like Golden Pond Shelter, something like that. This was
Woo, buddy.
this was a tough day, man. This was my first 20-mile day on trail, and I won't bore you with the whole story because I've told
Right.
it before. But the basic gist is 20-mile day, a little bit of recharge of the batteries with some trail magic, and a hallucination as a result, I think, of pure exhaustion and not enough calories. Wasn't under the influence of anything except the pain of through hiking and being a weekend.
Right,
So
right.
I make it to the shelter, and there's two chicks already there. This is a good sized shelter, and talk to them a little bit, and they set up their tent inside the awning area, like move the picnic table out of the way that was in the covered section and set up their tent in the awning area. Like I said, it's a big shelter. It wasn't just a little lean-to. And actually, there was a hammock set up inside the shelter on the second floor of it. Yes, this was a nice shelter. Second floor, you climb up a ladder. So if you wanted to, you could sleep up there in the hammock. And it was a permanent fixture of the shelter. It had like a little separate room in there. So that is my experience of running into people that have set up their tent in the shelter. Luckily, there was plenty of room, and there was only like 5 of us staying the night there. 2 of them were those 2 people that were already there. But other than that, it seems like a fairly rare occurrence that I've ran into of the shelter in the tent. I still haven't given my opinion on if I think it's good or bad, but I'd
Yeah.
love for you to share what had happened in your story.
Yeah, let's get a few comments real quick. Hiking with Cam said, I'm going to GSN MNP, which is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, in June and hope to tent near the shelter. I understand it's a gray area. Sean R., if you are alone, fine, but not when sharing. Stone Ape Adventure says, not cool. Other people may need it. Loafer X says, long trail, drink. For those who don't know, Jeremiah has become a drinking game all by himself. And then Nick Ramble says, unfortunately, it's no longer a gray area in the Smokies. During COVID, you could, but no longer can you if you're not a thru hiker. Now, when you say can you or can't you, are you saying if you're not a thru hiker, you can't sleep in the shelter or you have to sleep in the shelter? So,
Also, you can do it, but there may be consequences.
yeah, yeah. Well, I would think because of things like COVID, you would never make people sleep in a shelter anymore because
Well, they
people
may
are right on top of each other. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I
you
know
would
what you
think
mean, but
that would change
might
it,
have
but
been they might have went the opposite direction. They
which,
might you're like, "What? Wait, how do the math is not mathing."
yeah,
But
that's what
anyway.
I'm saying. That's why I'm like confused by that. But anyways, my story's a little different. I was up in Wisconsin hiking. I think it was the Ice Age Trail with a few guys back a few years ago. And the first night, we all had our hammocks set up around trees around the shelter. The guys had their tents that were in tents. And then the second day, second or third day, I can't remember which way day it was, but we decided, we got to the shelter and we looked inside and saw hooks. And there were 4 of us with hammocks. And so we did the math and realized we could hang 4 hammocks inside of the shelter.
Oh, you're about to lose viewers right now.
But we were the only people on the trail. Like, now, with that said, we were the only people on it. We didn't see anybody on that trail. The only people we saw on the trail were when we stopped on the side of the road to eat food, and people driving by saw Dan Becker and stopped. So that was it. Yeah, yeah. So this is quite a while ago. But we found out real quick we can hang 4 hammocks in here very comfortably.
Mhm.
So myself, Rob Pelton, Chad from UGQ, and Jeremy, Midwest Backpacker, we were
Wow.
all 4 of us in a shelter with our hammocks up and slept quite well that night. Didn't have to deal with any wind. I mean, it was cold. It was Wisconsin in February, so it was cold, but it was kind of nice, I'm going to be honest. Way easier than pulling out all the straps and having to do all that extra work. It was a pretty good night.
How deep was the snow?
There were parts that were about a foot deep.
But
There
okay.
wasn't. There were a lot of places where it wasn't as deep. It wasn't like horrendous snow like you'd see a
Uh,
lot of times. But there was definitely snow. I mean, it was
okay.
winter. We were winter in Wisconsin, so there was definitely snow on the ground. But we're not talking like 3 or 4 feet of it or anything like that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, with a lot of snow, sometimes it actually with the shelter there and nobody showing up, I get it. Because if there was like 4 foot of snow and you're having to dig out the snow to set your hammock up,
Yeah,
you're like, okay, now I'm putting myself at risk even more so by not using the shelter.
right.
Um,
Looks like
you
we got
you want
time for one more. We got time for one more. Maybe we can pick these back up next week and finish the rest of them. But
okay?
we
Wait
got
before
oh,
you do the last one.
okay. Here we go. We got the answer. We got the answer to our question from earlier. So
Okay,
let's
go
read
ahead.
it. It says, "My understanding is that you have to stay inside the shelter unless the shelter is full and you were through hiking. I believe these were the pre-COVID rules, and they went back to them, which is stupid." Um, and I'll say it. I'm not afraid to say it. I don't care. Like I'm old. Get off my yard. But
I think that they're trying to make it as environmentally unimpacted as possible because the Smokies are so densely tourism
yeah, I get
packed.
that. I
And
get that.
yeah. Okay. My 20-second opinion on the putting a shelter in the shelter basically is what you're doing. It's circumstantial. I think the way John done it's probably okay. What most people will tell you is, what if somebody comes up later and they need in there and you have your tent set up and they can't fit and they're not willing to ask you to move over? Yeah, I get that too. Honestly, circumstantial. If it's pouring outside and there's nobody on trail, and especially like the what's the one in Michigan, the that's got sand and shelters, and you reserve your spots.
Oh yeah, that's all campsites. There's no shelters on that. The
Oh,
pictured rocks. Yeah, that's pictured rocks.
I was just gonna say, definitely if it's a shelter that you schedule,
Hmm.
then it's kind of your shelter anyway. Like, you know, sometimes it's a group of 8 and you're taking all 8 spots. Then I think if nobody wants to sleep in the shelter, you want to put your tent in there, who cares? But if you're like through hiking and it's frequently used shelters and you just set your tent up there, then you're probably a DB. But if you're just like it's a
Which
casual
stands for
and
decibel, by the way.
yeah, decibels. Yeah. Yeah. But that's my 20-second opinion is it's circumstantial.
Right, right. All right, we're gonna do one last one.
All right.
I'm gonna hold off the one that was next because that's a heavy one. We'll have more time to talk about that.
Okay.
Um, okay, I'm gonna go to the very last one. I'm
Okay.
gonna go to the very last one. These hikers were on the Appalachian Trail when the Hurricane Helene hit. In late September, Hurricane Helene slammed into the southern United States, killing more than 200 people and becoming the deadliest hurricane in almost 20 years. Towns along the Appalachian Trail were some of the hardest hit, with residents displaced and long-standing outdoor businesses shuttered. The trail itself suffered significant damage, with downed trees and flooding rendering stretches of it impassable or negotiable only with extreme difficulty. With emergency services stretched thin and resources limited, when hikers should return to the AT immediately became a hot button question, with some locals encouraging visitors to let the trail heal and others opining that there was no reason to stay away. As the recovery began in October, Mary Beth Mouse Skyless asked trail angels what they thought. So, our trail angels, our wonderful backpacking podcast community, tell us what your thoughts are on that. So, I think we all remember what happened in September. Our good friends, Hunter and I just blanked. Holy cow! I can't believe I did that just now. Taps, Hunter and
Hunter's
Taps.
Taps on trail.
Yeah, they Hunter and Taps were they live in Asheville,
Mhm.
and I know their house was damaged pretty badly from the
Mhm.
flooding and everything, and towns were destroyed. Um, the Foothills Trail was massacred.
Mhm.
A lot of places were destroyed, and there were people who this is just something I saw that kind of bothered me a little bit was I saw people more concerned with whether or not they could hike those trails than they were about the people that were hurt during the flooding. Um, there was a lot of concern about, oh, can we get back on the Foothills Trail or can we get back on the AT? When really that shouldn't even. There comes a time when you have to like weigh what's important, and at
Mhm.
that point in time, hiking those trails wasn't what was important. There were things that were way more important. Um, but that's my thought.
Yeah, we talked about it some on the show because some people are even frustrated that there was like sequence of events that you had to go through in order to go out and use, like, for example, a chainsaw to help restore the Foothills Trail. There's like certain training certifications that if you wanted to officially work with the Foothill Trail Conservancy, then you had to be registered. And like, there was no quick training. There was like an actual set process in order to do it. So I think that some of us were looking at minuscule issues whenever, if you're looking at the big picture, like is in the comments there by Unlikely Hiker, some people lost their life in those floodings.
Yeah, I'm
and
going to pull this up in a second.
But yeah,
there's also a thing for me. I heard a lot of people saying, "Hey, how do I get money so we can get these trails back up?" And I'm thinking to myself, "Don't give money to that." I love hiking, I love backpacking, but there were people that lost homes, towns that were destroyed. Give your money to help with that, like help people. Like, I don't know. I was very disappointed during a lot of that, from things I saw people saying and commenting, and there were people that turned it political, and there were people. It was amazing how horribly ignorant a lot of people looked during that time, and I think having scope is important when you're looking at issues, and having the right scope and understanding what's really going on. We got some great comments though here. Unlikely Hiker. People died in some areas. Respect that and steer clear of those areas to let those areas heal and recover. Hiking with Cam, let it heal. David Cooper says, let the areas heal before overwhelming them with people again. And then thank you. Unlikely Hiker. Amen, John. And I'm not trying to preach at people, even though that is kind of my job for a living.
He's preaching at you right now.
I'm preaching at you right now. But in all seriousness, sometimes we just need to put everything in the right perspective and realize, man, yeah, we love to hike. We all love to hike, but hiking really isn't the end all be all in life. It's just something we genuinely enjoy and love. But when it comes to human lives, I think that needs to be a little bit more important. Except when it comes to the Honolulu hike. Let me do it if I want to.
Yeah, yeah, it's like the ultimate irony, John, earlier in the show. It's like, get off my lawn. But now he's like, he's taking
Told you I'm a libertarian, bro.
He's like a reverse heel turn here. He's
yeah.
I like it.
I'm sure somebody's going, he's such a hypocrite. John is such a hypocrite. Well, I still want to hike that trail. I still want to hike the trail in Hawaii. So leave me alone.
I get the wanting to do the AT and the hurricane come through. I will tell you this though, if there are parts that are open and people aren't hiking them, and that's the way that maybe, for example, a hostel makes their money and keeps the doors open and keeps the livelihood of the people there. I can also see that side of the argument.
Oh yeah,
because you're taking money. If you could hike that section and somebody's open and maybe they, I don't know how long it takes to heal, but let's say they had minor flooding and they could keep their hostel open. Then you are taking money out of their pocket by not staying there and just closing down. But that could also be the price of, letting the overall, when you're talking about scope, letting the overall area recover when it comes to humanitarian, what would you call it? Like efforts, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get both.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I'm not saying don't be disappointed. Like if you've been planning for 3 to 5 years or even longer to do this Appalachian Trail through hike, and it just happens to be when this happens, I get it. Disappointment's going to be there, but the Appalachian Trail is going to be there for a long time. And I know it's not working out in your favor necessarily, and I have no problem with people being disappointed, but we still need to have some perspective on it. And here's some perspective for you, Jeremiah. We need to be able to hike this, so I don't think they should get rid of it. I think it needs to stay. So
you better go hike that before it's closed right now.
I'm telling you, man, we need to catch a flight next week. Are we going? You coming with me to Hawaii?
That's right. Everything costs double, though, is what I hear. So if you're paying, I'm going.
Well, the nice thing is there's no tariffs on our own states. So
here he goes. I'm apolitical on this show. I'm apolitical. John, he's driving that.
I said nothing. I just said there's no tariffs on Hawaii.
I will tell you, you talked to Ben, I don't know, maybe a month ago.
It's a couple months ago, yeah.
And y'all talked about the tariffs for a while during that show. I listened to the
Mhm.
whole episode, and I said, you know, these have not. And right now, at this recording, at the time of the recording, those tariffs hadn't really affected me pretty much at all. I haven't seen the rise in cost of stuff. Maybe it will later. I don't know.
Right.
But I said, this is only the first time it has affected me at all. We went to buy K cups, and you've been to the house. We
Mhm.
like the Keurig. I make pour
Yes.
over to you. And my wife gets these donut shop chocolate glazed donut K cups and drinks them every day. And they are delicious. And I went to buy them. Normally for like a 96 count, I get the bulk to save money. It costs like 52 bucks, 55 bucks, something like that. It's like 50 cent basically a K cup,
Yep.
50, 55 cent. And I went to buy them and it was $76. And I was like, what? These things have been 50 something bucks for the last 8 years. And then all of a sudden, and then I thought about that episode of you and Ben talking about the coffee, because that was a big thing that was affecting him, because he has
Mhm.
a coffee roaster and sells the coffee beans and all that. That is the first time, man. And we had to swivel. And I said, well, it looks like you're getting a different brand this time, I guess, because that baby formula is not free.
No, it's not. Well, and I was gonna say, I'm a big fan of going to places like Ollie's. I don't know if those are national or not, but I know they're here in
Have
Kentucky.
'em here. Yeah.
And Ollie's, man, you can go in there and get like 50 to 90 to 100 packs of K cups for like $20. Now
Wow.
it's not gonna be like your gourmet fancy stuff, but if you're gonna put creamer in it anyways, and it's just to be frou coffee, well, shoot,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'll pay that. So, and there's ways around things, at least
Fun
for right
episode.
now.
I've had a good time with you.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. And next week, I think we'll pick up the rest of these hiking controversies, because these are
Yeah.
good. And the comments, man. Thank you so much for all the comments today. And thank you for, I want to make sure I don't forget her name, our new commenter today.
Alicia Ross, was that what it was?
Yes, Alicia Ross. Welcome to the
Alicia.
show. We're glad to have you on here today. And so for myself and Jeremiah, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, Jeremiah, it has been a complete pleasure to do business with you, and we will catch you all on the next one.